Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's show. Today, I go through a very long, I call it a Homerarian experience dealing with my introduction to Linux in the modern age. Let's roll the title and we'll be right back. All right, well, the last time I had any brush with Linux was before we had a graphical interface. In fact, it was not Linux, but Unix. Linux was out. We had the Red Hat, but there really wasn't like it was around. Nobody knew about it unless you were in an academic environment. I had a little bit of brush with it. Also started with DOS before we had the graphical user interface as well. So that's how far back it goes. So I know virtually nothing, and this has been a learning experience. Well, let me show you the desktop of the Linux Mint system. Here's a little logo. It gives you a couple little desktop items. I don't think you're able to move them over here. Whoops. Because they're going to go right back in this particular setup. So it's not exactly windowy, but it looks a little more windowy if you're trying to make a transition, learn the new system. So let me go up there and bring that in. So we have some little icons. We have this is the panel, not the tray or whatever. And we have this stuff over here that you can set up that's part of the operating system. You can see we have down here, OBS is recording because we are using OBS Studio after we've sorted out some bugs. And that's what I'm trying to save you some trouble with. If you want to try Linux, particularly Linux Mint, this is the only thing I have any experience with the OBS, then this video may be for you, because when I studied on it and I went out there, I found that there were some problems and some headaches and some stuff worked, but a very sketchy information. And so it was a lot of nothing that I could come up with. Well, if we go back to looking at this one, we see that we have this thing over here, PyCharm, because I also want to learn Python. Well, if we bring up the software manager, if we type in Python, we get Python 3, latest one. I don't remember if I used this or did it the old hard way, bashing it in, but I got it in there. The problem isn't with Python. The problem was if I typed in PyCharm, we get a big goose egg. We don't get PyCharm, but I want PyCharm. There my PyCharm is. So I had to go out and install this the old-fashioned hard way, terminal, bashing it in, getting it set up, and that worked, and it's fine. And as you see it there, you saw it there very neatly, very nicely. I also put pip the package manager in there. And after I got finished with these two things, it worked until I rebooted the machine. When I rebooted the machine or switched out the operating system, then it came back. This beautiful little window-like kind of background disappeared entirely, and it was back to Ubuntu. I don't know if there's an N in there, the base Linux system distro that this is added on to make the desktop environment. There are 3 desktop environments. This is the most glorious one with the most stuff. It's a bigger build. There are 2 other ones in there as well. But this environment was completely gone, and it was straight Ubuntu. If I can say that right. Don't at me, guys. I'm trying. This is Linux. So after fighting with that for about a week or so, and I still did a little Python PyCharming, I got irritated and just rebuilt the hard drive, which involved tearing 2 machines down to do it, to get the hard drive out so I wouldn't potentially corrupt the other operating systems and the RAID and everything I have in this system. And we got it up and we've got it running. That's where we are today. But this is what I discovered with the OBS. The first one I went to, if we bring that up, we type in OBS. Let me switch you so you can see my screen. All right, there we are. We have OBS. We had 2 choices. We had this one right here. And if we click this one, it said it had the system package, and it looked like it was built for Linux Mint. I tried it. It worked, and it worked pretty well, to be honest with you. It's just that it doesn't have the docks I need to get that lower third action going, which is one of my 2 plugins I use. And it has this extra stuff afterwards, which may make it particularly special. Well, if we look at our project up here, this is the lower thirds we have running. And down here we have the other one I use, the move transition. These are the only 2 that I personally use. And we have this built, looks like, for Linux Mint. I used it, it worked, but it has no docks. I'll show you that in the next segment. So we back up one, we had this one here, but it says Flatpak. Well, if you do the pull down, it does do a system package. So it looked like it would install. We can get in here. I did the Flatpak version because I do have Flatpak. I can show you how to use that through the terminal, how to find out if you do have it. You should have it if you have a newest version of Linux Mint. But anyway, Flatpak worked. And if we go back to one more, I want to show you this. Took me a while to stumble upon this, but if we look at this, we have details, which are very scant, right? Bilinear or lane coast resampling, other features. So it's a kind of, it turns out it's apparently a stripped down version. It doesn't have everything in it, but it's made for compatibility, because when I was looking out there in the world, it was saying people were having some troubles with audio. They're having trouble with other things running OBS on the Linux. So I notice I have reviews and details. That's it. After fighting with and getting the lower thirds in, I discovered, or I noticed rather, that we have optional components in this build. And look what we have here. We don't have our lower thirds, but we do have move transition. And that's the other one that I do use. And if you pull your move transitions into your software, into your package loader, it won't load the regular package. So it does load it if you do Flatpak, but it doesn't do it if you just try to load it and follow the Linux instructions. I had trouble with that. And I don't have the lower third. It had to be put on there manually, which is this stuff. And I will proceed right now showing you how to get that on. Upper screen, so we can see our OBS, and we can see what we have. We got 2 inputs here. It's fairly well working. I wanted to put my lower thirds over here, and I did with an earlier version that I pulled off a Flatpak, and it had terrible audio. And so I ripped all of my days worth of construction out, and we rebuilt it with this official Linux Mint. And look what we have missing here up here under docks. I don't have a custom dock anymore. I don't have any way to put that in there. I don't know what's going on. So we're going to, after now that we have actually proven that we have stuff missing, we're going, and the audio is fine, the video is fine because we're recording this. We're going to delete this entirely and go get the other version off of, this is very low rated, by the way, on the resource. So we're going to go pull the standard one, I believe, that we have available, and we'll see if we have the same audio problem, because as we got down here, let's look at this. We'll find our little pictures, and we want to look at a few things. We have made notes. All right, we've got our little notes of all of our settings, and we're going to cancel that one out. But we have all of our little stuff where we have our audio working, so we're in our codecs and all of the wonderful things. So we're going to put her together and see if we get our docks back, because I've already had the lower thirds in there, but the audio is terrible, and I already had the other one that I use, which is, what is it called? Move transitions. So those are the two plugins that I use. We ought not be having this kind of trouble, but welcome to Linux, my friend. Welcome. Many moments later. At this point in time, I'm not all that confident we can make this work. We do have to go back through and work on our settings. If you don't mind, we'll go over here and see if we can't go ahead and get our docs in. Now, it found this complete setup, even though we told it to delete it. This was done with the Flatpak, Flatpak installation. It just didn't work. Now, I noticed that they don't use the same drivers for the camera. That's just going to have to be hard cheese. So let's say we go down and we find what we have. We want to put those files back. We want to go to OBS resources. This is my own directory. It's got a dash in it, no space, because with Linux, if you got to go to the terminal, you'll have to put a %20 on there to tell it it's a space there. So we're going to go to plugin sources. I put a dash in that, got rid of the space. And we're going to go to lower dash thirds where we have all of our stuff. And we're going to go to the lower case, lower space thirds. And we're going to grab that. And there's our control panel. So we're going to come up here. Are we still recording? Yes, we're recording. If we stop, I'll have to come back and rejoin this. But we want to see the properties of this. Move this over to the side. And we want to go to our dock. Let's see if using the non-Linux Mint version, if we're getting our audio and our video back, even though we're doing 1440 instead of 1080. It wasn't doing 1080 before. Well, look there, we have our custom browser dock. So we want to hit that, slide this over above that handsome man there, bring that back up. And we're going to call this, just call it lower thirds. All right. Not going to put control panel up there. We know it's a file, so we're going to type file : // All right. Now we're going to go back and make sure we have this correct again. We're going to use the copy on Linux and the paste in Linux, and we're going to go ahead and give it an extra slash there because we're getting ready to pull the file name. Because the file name, we would lose it between the name and the end of that path. So we're going to copy this, we're going to put it up here, go all the way to the end. Sometimes when we do this, we'll actually get an extra character or something in there, but we're going to go ahead and try it, paste. And if it works, when we hit the magic apply button, it's going to find our old control panel that we had docked. It's just an HTML document, but the HTML document obviously goes out and looks for some other things, some script files. So let's go ahead and hit it. Well, looky there. It's right there, just where we left it. And we're still recording. What kind of miracle is this that we have? I don't know. Oh my goodness. All right. So you see, one of the things that we were doing is previous videos have made the assumption and made the statement, and it may have been true at one time, that you have to have things in a certain place. And to some extent that is true. It does like the lowercase with a space in it, lower thirds. But as far as your logos, it's never had to have them with the logo name, logo dash name or whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4. It just, and it didn't have to, as far as I know. They never had to be in with the logos. Now, if you get your logo too big, it won't work. I did notice that a long time ago, years ago, but I did a size on the logos that were there, the test logos, the default logos, like you see in this little spot right here. Let's go back to our lower screen with our inset. Let's do it that way so it's not so bad. It has a your logo here. This is the default. Well, let's go and see if we can't do some magic here. We're going to find out if it works. And I've had this in other directions. Right now I have my logo that I want to put in that block is here in the lower thirds, all the way in with the control panel. And we're going to grab the YouTube finger GIF that I have made. We're going to select it, and look what we have going over here. It looks like it works. So we don't have to have it with the logos, and we don't have to have it outside the logos. I've tried that before. It actually works in that one because I'd like to clean up as many of my directories as possible. So let's go ahead and say OK. Now what we're going to see, how we have this working. We'll talk about the lower thirds a bit, but let's go to our setup to see if it's actually kept our control panel. If you like this content, please go to calldeltosell.com, find the tab that says on YouTube, click it, and it'll open up a page of QR codes. There you can use a smartphone to scan and get to the YouTube page, or you can just mouse over and click it on a PC. There you'll be able to subscribe to this little button over here and click the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you. Thank you. Now what we're going to see, how we have this working. We'll talk about the lower thirds a bit, but let's go to our setup to see if it's actually kept our control panel. Well, we've got to go put our hotkeys in here. All right, now this is going to be a little difficult, but I'm going to try it anyway. We're going to go to here, and can you see this box? Yes, you can see the box. We're going to go to see Tools, Scripts, right? And it did keep the old script file, so I don't have to put that in. I gave up on this installation because it was giving me terrible audio, and it was, when I reloaded it, it gave okay audio, but it was given 5 frames a second. But we would do it the same way. We have a plus here. We would just go get our, are we still recording? Yes, we're still recording. We'd come out here and we would go to Home and to OBS Resources, Plugin Resources, lower thirds here, and there is our script file, our lower third hotkey script file, and we would just add it there, just like we did the other one. Well, you know what? I bet I need to replace that script file anyway, since I've renamed some stuff. So what do you say we go ahead and redo that script file, close it down, and bring it back up. Scripts. All right, let's add her back in. This is our location. Can we click that and say open? All right, let's see if we can save that. And we will come back and restart the show and see if in fact we do get our lower thirds working. Well, I have detected what the problem might be. Let's look at this lower screen. I don't know if we can see, but this says this is Wednesday, May 7th at 1:12 in the a.m. Apparently, I'm old and can't remember things, and I just pegged out the microphone then. Let's go ahead and take that down just a tad. All right, so we've got to do one more thing. To get our little source back down here where we have it, we have to come in here and we have to now add, because this is in the 2 box, we have to add a browser. That's our other link, browser. And we're going to call this lower third. We've got the same thing we've got to do here. We can make this whatever we want. We're on 1920. What is the resolution for 1440? 2560. 2560. We can change this if we don't like it. And we'll let this be about 400. That ought to be about right. We don't need it actually too tall. A few moments later. Alrighty, we had it at 400. Looks like we only need about 200. And we really don't need it full width there anyway, do we? Wow, that is way bigger than I need it to. So why don't we just cheat and just get it a little bit smaller? There, that looks good. Lower third. All right, let me lock that puppy down. And of course, now we have to bring that down where it belongs. Down there, how about that? So we can also change that. Let's bring in our other one. And we'll talk about how to do this. We might do it tomorrow. I don't know. We may go ahead and finish recording this and get her done with. All right, well, one of the things that we want to look at when we put this in, since we're not going to use any of that earlier footage, let me get my flashlight out of the way, my torch. Okay, so what we got is go back down to the upper screen and put that up there. All right, so here we have our upper, okay? And what we want to do is look in this area, because when we pull this down, all right, when we pull that down, we have the general time frames that we're going to use for any of these down below. 2 seconds in, wait 5 seconds before it comes back out. So that's going to be that's going to be pretty close to 10 seconds. And we got a 20-second delay. I think that's the whole bit there. Now we can pull down some other stuff. The clickings here, see, these are our ones that we know we're at because we're using them. System, you can do import, export your setups if you want. I never used any of this. It doesn't take that long to do. So that's that. Now we can do the same thing with each of these. We have quite a bit of things that we can set. Now, personally, I'm not going to go over these, not just because it's 1:26 in the AM, but because they're very well done, that we can do our hover over and it tells you that's a rounded corner. This one is show or hide the logo. This is change the text. Left, justified, center, or right. We've got all of it pretty well much defined up here. There's the background. Now, one of the things I did do that I like is I brought this down about halfway in the transparency, and it's still on the black, but it's up a little bit on the black to make it a little bit gray. I want to have it kind of a ghost background to kind of draw some attention. And you have obviously the colors that you can choose to use from. It'll change the bar. You have different sizes. So I'm not going to go through all that. You also have, of course, if we pull this down, you can set its independent timing of anybody else's. So we can actually set that if we needed to. We have it on recycle. We can put them all on recycle. Right? Close her down. Put them all on recycle, and they just go round and round. You saw me pull this one in, and you just pick which one you want. Now, these little blocks down here, I think they had a scheme in their heads. We want to make that go away. Oh, do you see how to make that go away? Here, we're going to put one in there. Now, if we just click it, it doesn't go away. We have to right click. While it's flashing red, now we can make it go away. Now let's go ahead and go back down to our main camera at the bottom. All right. What do you think? We still got a little red line being shown, so I guess I need to lock that down. But it gives you an idea what's going on. All right. Now we've grown. We're going to knock this off tonight. We'll tackle the other part tomorrow and see if that's the one that really screws up our audio or not. We're halfway home, baby. Well, let's do one more thing before we knock off for the night. Let's go ahead and check our hotkeys. Now, I don't know if you know how to do a hotkey. If you're new to this, we're going to find out. So we want to go to hotkeys. And we don't have that much in here, that many bits, because we only have, as you saw up there, only a few scenes. But we'll just type in here. It was called lower something, right? Lower third, there it is, lower third switch. So we don't want to do a backspace. We want to do, I don't use these, so I don't want to accidentally turn them on or off. So how about an Alt and a 1? And then we can do an Alt and a 2, and an Alt and a 3, and an Alt and a 4. And let's go ahead and apply those. Bring that down. There we are, happy little fella. Let's see if I don't have a camera on this, but we'll do the Alt and the 1 to see if we turn on the other. Yes, it's brought it on. Now I need to turn off 3. There we go. I can probably, let's go ahead and show that. We'll do it the other way too. We'll put it up at the top. And if you see right in this area, see these are red, but I only have the one blue switch. We can turn around and put on Alt 2. It came on. We turn off Alt 1. That's working. We can turn all the way down to Alt 4 and turn off 2. And we're not moving our little mouse. And you get the idea of what we got going on there, don't you? So now if we put it back down to lower screen, we should see something going on there. We got to put the right scene on there. It has to be there with our camera on it for that to be working. Anyway, that's good enough for government. There it comes. And remember, that's the little terminal we captured. It's not square, but it works. All right. At this point in time, I'm going to knock it off until tomorrow. See you, brothers.